You're walking with one of your best friends and you want to grab a coffee. So you say, "Do you want a coffee?" How do you say that in Japanese? コーヒーが欲しい? But that sounds a little strange in Japanese. Instead, you should say, コーヒーが飲みたい? Literally, do you want to drink coffee? It may be okay in either way in English, but コーヒーが欲しい is weird in Japanese in this situation. But why? You will know by the end of the video, so let's look at what happens next. Now, you are in a cafe. The server asks, クリームを入れますか? Do you want to add some cream? Yes, you do. Now, how do you respond? クリームが欲しいです. Surprisingly, this can sound odd in this situation too. Instead, you'd typically say, クリームを入れて欲しいです. Literally, I want you to put some cream in it. So, what's going on? Sometimes Japanese uses たい, sometimes 欲しい, and sometimes て欲しい. They all express want, but they are used differently. By the end of this video, you will clearly understand how to use each appropriately, so you never make mistakes again. Let's first look at たい. We use たい with a verb to express want to do something. And the good news? It's actually really simple to use. All you have to do is to take a verb in its mas form and replace mas with たいです. For example, 食べます becomes 食べたいです. Easy, right? Now, there are two important rules you need to know. First, たい behaves like an E adjective. For example, 食べたいです becomes 食べたくないです。食べたかったです。食べたくなかったです. Second, there's a particle change you will often see. And here's where many learners get confused. Instead of using お, we often use が with たい. So what happens to お here? お寿司を食べます. It becomes お寿司が食べたいです. Now, using お isn't wrong. You can use お寿司を食べたいです. But we often prefer using が. Let's look at some real-life examples. 昨日のパーティーに行きたかったです. I wanted to go to yesterday's party. Notice how the past tense becomes 行きたかったです, just like an E adjective. Next example. 天気が良かったらゴルフがしたいです. If the weather is good, I want to play golf. Here, something interesting is happening. ゴルフをします turns into ゴルフがしたいです. So the particle changes from お to が. That's something you will see very often in real conversations. One more. 納豆は嫌いなので食べたくないです. Because I hate 納豆, I don't want to eat it. This is one of the common reactions from Japanese learners, but it's a great example of how naturally you can combine feelings and desires in Japanese. Now, here's something that often confuses learners. たい is used for your own desires, so you can't use it to talk about what other people want to do. Instead, use たがっている. Think of it like it looks like someone wants to do something. Let's move on to next where things get more interesting. Now, let's talk about 欲しい. 欲しい means to want something, specifically to want to own or possess something. And here's the key point. In Japanese, 欲しい is actually an adjective, not a verb. So instead of using お, we use the particle が following the things you want. Let's look at some examples. 新しいビデオゲームが欲しいです. I want a new video game. I'm sure lots of Japanese learners can relate to this. お金がたくさん欲しいです. I want a lot of money. Who doesn't? Simple to use, right? Now, most of the time, the things you want with 欲しい are physical things, but you can also use it with more abstract ideas. For example, リラックスできる時間が欲しい. I want some time to be able to relax. This is something you will hear a lot in real life, especially when people are busy and tired. Just like with tai, there's an important rule here. 欲しい is used for your own desires. If you want to talk about what someone else wants, you can't use 欲しい directly. Instead, use 欲しがっている. Now, let's get back to コーヒーが欲しい and find out why it's weird. So why コーヒーが欲しいです sounds a bit unnatural in Japanese? At first glance, it seems correct, right? But here's the nuance. 欲しい is about ownership. It means you want to own something, to possess it. So it's usually used for things that make sense to own. Now think about coffee. When you say, I want a coffee in English, you generally mean you want to drink it, right? Not wanting to own a cup of coffee and store somewhere and look at it, correct? That's why in Japanese, instead of saying コーヒーが欲しいです, you would naturally say コーヒーが飲みたいです. Of course, if owning coffee beans is the purpose, then you can use 欲しい instead. So which one you use can actually change the meaning. This applies to food in general too. If you want to eat curry now, don't say カレーが欲しいです. Say カレーが食べたいです. I want to eat curry. The same idea applies to bigger, more abstract things like life or lifestyle too. For example, いい人生が欲しいです sounds unnatural because you don't own a life, you live it. So the natural way is いい人生を過ごしたいです I want to live a good life. And travel works the same way. You are not going to own a trip, you want to experience it. Say 日本旅行がしたいです I want to travel to Japan instead of using 欲しい. The key difference is this. たい is about action and 欲しい is about possession. Now, let's take it one step further and see what happens when you combine 手本 verbs with 欲しい. When you use a 手本 verb plus 欲しい, it can actually express three different ideas. First, you can use it to show that you want a certain situation or event to happen. Second, you can use it to say, I want someone to do something. And third, it can be used as a gentler way to make a request. Let's break it down and look at each meaning with some real-life examples so you can understand how to use it. Let's jump into some examples. 今年は早く春が来てほしいです I want a spring to come early this year. Here, you are expressing your desire for a situation to occur, namely the spring season. Here's another example. 今晩雨が降ってほしくないです I don't want it to rain this evening. You can see how you can negate it and say 降ってほしくないです And there's actually another way to say the same thing. 降らないでほしいです Both sounds natural and both mean essentially the same thing. Now, this pattern isn't just for weather or natural events. You can use it for everyday situations too. 疲れたので会議が早く終わってほしいです Because I'm tired, I want the meeting to end soon. We've all been there, right? Let's move on to the next. When you want someone else to do something for you. Now, this is probably the most common use of 手欲しい described in textbooks. It means I want someone to do something. Here's an example. ゲームばかりじゃなくて息子にもっと勉強してほしいです Rather than just playing games, I want my son to study more. You can probably feel the nuance here. It's not just a neutral statement. There's a bit of complaint or concern mixed in, right? Here's another one. 富士山の観光客にゴミを持って帰ってほしいですね I want visitors to Mount Fuji to take their garbage home. When someone says this, you can almost imagine the situation. Maybe there's trash left everywhere, and the speaker is feeling a bit frustrated. Perhaps the speaker saw it while visiting Mount Fuji or even lives near the mountain. So, てほしい often carries that subtle feelings of, I really wish people would do this. Alright, now let's move on to the third use. This time it works more like a request. Let's look at this example. クリームを入れてほしいです. I'd like you to add some cream. You might remember this sentence from earlier in the video. Now, here's an important question. Why don't we say クリームが欲しい and why not クリームを入れたい? Great question. As we have already learned, 欲しい means to want to own or possess something. And since your intention is to have cream added to your coffee, then drink it, it's not the right expression. As for 入れたい, it means I want to do it. Since the server is the one who would add the cream for you in this particular situation, you would not use this expression. Of course, there are other ways to ask, like クリームをお願いします. But expressions like クリームを入れてほしいです。クリームを入れてほしいんですが sound a bit softer and more conversational, which is great for natural Japanese. Here's another example. 美味しいお寿司屋を知っていたらぜひ教えてほしいです。If you know a delicious sushi restaurant, I'd love for you to tell me. You can also say 教えてください. But 教えてほしいです feels more indirect and gentle. You are not giving a direct command. You are simply expressing your desire, which makes it sound more polite and less pushy. So, as you can see, this is super useful in everyday conversations, especially when you want to sound natural and friendly. Now, before you start using it everywhere, there's one very important caution you need to know. Now, let's go back to something I mentioned at the beginning of the video. You ask your friend, do you want some coffee? And I said you can say, コーヒーが飲みたい? This works perfectly, but only in casual situations, like when you're talking to close friends. Here's the important point. If you turn たい、欲しい、て欲しい into a question, it can actually sound too direct and even rude. So be careful when using these with people you are not close to. For example, コーヒーが飲みたいですか? This sounds unnatural and a bit blunt. Instead, say, コーヒーを飲みませんか? Shall we drink coffee? Much more polite and natural. Same idea here. これが欲しいですか? Do you want this? This is too direct. Instead, say, これはいかがですか? How about this? But with close friends, you can say, これ欲しい? Do you want this? In casual speech, and this is totally fine. Now, look at one more. これをして欲しいですか? Do you want me to do it? This sounds too arrogant, as if the other person has to beg you to do things. Instead, say, これをしましょうか? May I do it for you? Again, with close friends, you can say, これして欲しい? So here's the key takeaway. Using たい、欲しい、て欲しい in questions is generally only okay in casual conversations with close friends. Otherwise, it can sound too direct or even impolite. Alright, now we've covered all that. Let's wrap things up with a quick summary. たい is your go-to expression when you want to say, I want to do something. It conjugates just like an E adjective. And don't forget, when you use たい, the particle o often becomes が. Now, be careful not mix it up with 欲しい. 欲しい is an adjective meaning to want to own or possess something. If you actually want to do something, you should use たい instead. Then we have て欲しい. It can express wanting a situation to occur, wanting someone to do something, or making a request. All these expressions should be used for your own feelings or when you are asking questions, but asking questions using these forms is only appropriate in casual speech with someone very close to you. Otherwise, it sounds too direct and comes across as rude. So next time you say I want in Japanese, stop and ask yourself, am I talking about an action or possession? That one question will fix most mistakes instantly. And if you want to keep improving your Japanese, check out my other videos for more interesting grammar facts and practical tips. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss my new videos. You can also join my daily quizzes in the post section. Check out my Udemy courses for more Japanese learning as well. Links are in the description below. Thank you for watching.